everybody. I'm Jennifer from Golden Touch, and thank you for joining me today. I have an important thing to talk about today, and that is puppy biting. Everybody's going to go through it, so let's talk about how we're going to deal with that. Puppy biting is one of the top things that you're going to have an issue with. All puppies do it, it's something that they naturally are programmed to do. So it often helps to understand why puppies bite. So puppies bite to learn and explore, just like human babies. They put everything in their mouths. That's how they learn how things are. They start to learn about bite pressure and what's appropriate. If you watch puppies play or even adult dogs play, you notice that they do a lot of biting. It's just something that's naturally programmed into them, and Mother Nature gave them that. So we have to work with that. We just have to teach them. Our goal is not to stop them from biting. Our goal is to make it so it's appropriate and so that it's not damaging, ripping our skin, our clothes, hurting anybody. They have to learn what's appropriate. So they have to learn the difference between what's right and wrong. So it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that you're going to teach one time and then they'll be done with it. It's something that's an ongoing process. And they learn what's appropriate and what's not. So it's something that certainly it's inconvenient, but it is something that we sign up for when we get a new puppy. It's just like having a newborn baby. If they're crying or they have a dirty diaper, those are all things that they naturally do, and we don't punish them for that. Um, we just do what we have to deal with it. So this is along the same lines. Um, they're babies and they're learning and they're exploring the world, and they don't know what it is to live in a human world. So it's our job to teach them. So, puppies need to understand that humans are very sensitive, and that it's their job to be very gentle with us. Um, and we have to teach them. First, we have to teach them about intensity. So we want them to be more gentle, and then we'll work on frequency. So once they've toned it down and they're not being so intense, then we can start work on, having them do that behavior altogether less frequently. Um, so what we need to do is give them meaningful feedback. So what I mean by that is, first of all, when your puppy, if you reach down to play with them, to pet them, and your puppy grabs a hold of your hand, do not pull your hand away. Keep your hand there. It's their job to pull their head away. So you want to give meaningful feedback. So the puppy bites you, you need to say or no. You can imitate what a mama dog would do and take your fingers and just kind of poke them. You can poke them on the side of the face, on the rib cage, and accompany that with the or no, and they will learn to associate that. So eventually you can wean off the touch and just use the verbal. So you need to look for them to take their mouth off of you. So don't pull away, because that triggers them to chase. And then once they do that, and they tend to learn very quickly. Once they do that, give them a lot of praise. Let them know that it's a job well done. And you need to show them the balance between right and wrong. So make sure that it's clear. Make a big deal when they do what you want, and then make a quick correction when they don't. So that sound, that's a very sharp, they tend to know what that is more than the word no. But you can still use the word no. I interchange those words. So they know what all of those negative words mean. So they stop what they're doing. So, Biting would include your skin, your clothing, your hair, your furniture, anything that you don't want them biting on. This would fall under that category. Um, and if they happen to get super duper intense and they're just way over the top and they're not listening, stop, stand up, and walk away from them. Don't take the puppy and put it on timeout. In dog language, that's how it's done. If two dogs are fighting, somebody gets too rough, they'll correct the one and then they leave. And that's like the ultimate thing that a puppy, like, it's an insult. They don't want that. So you stand up, you walk away, and you come back in 30 to 60 seconds. And that also comes into the earlier topic of always have your puppy contained. So you need to not have, they should not be having free reign of the house, and they should be on a house line, or if you're have them loose, I say loose, it should be in a contained area, maybe a small room where it's gated off, or you can close the door. So then once you have that in place, then you can walk away. But putting a puppy on timeout isn't going to work. They're not going to understand what that is. So it's your job to make sure that you're communicating in a way that they understand. So eventually the biting will get softer and softer, and they will understand. Any puppies that I work with, they learn really quickly. Even if we're playing with a tug toy, a rope toy, or a towel or something, and they're engaged in play, and they accidentally grab my hand, I tell them, or ouch, something, a loud noise, a loud verbal cue that they know that, oh, and they can tell the difference. Even when they're really wound up, they start to learn the difference between what your hand feels like versus what the toy feels like. And you'll see that they'll start to correct that. So, it's something that you can incorporate at the same time are like some obedience things. So, something to work on is, take some of their kibble that we talked about, and have them sit, and then you offer them that. And then you want them to take that gentle from your hand. If they take it too rough, you tell them, and you take it away. And then you offer it again. And then once they offer to take it very gently, that's when you release the food. You can put it in between your fingers and offer it like that. That way, if they go too rough, they're not going to actually bite your fingers. If you do like this, they can actually grab and nip your fingers. So, you can do a lot of interactive games, like with tug toys and things like that. And that teaches manners. It teaches them impulse control, and it teaches them what a motivating reward is. A game of tug can be very rewarding for a dog. And later on in the training, that can actually substitute, food reward. Some dogs are more motivated by food, some by, toys, others by praise, some like a combination of them. So it just depends on your individual dog. But make sure that you teach them also what appropriate chew toys are. That would not be rope toys, anything soft. So make sure that you have good chew toys for them. A good quality rawhide, antlers, deer antlers, things of that nature. They sell beef bones, things like that. And I can put links to that, for you to take a look at as well. And the window that we have to teach this is pretty short. By the time they reach 16 to 18 weeks, that window of learning where they learn bite pressure and what's appropriate, that window actually closes. So it's very, very important that we start teaching that at as early as an age as possible. I work with the very young puppies, I start teaching that, well before they go home at 8 weeks. But it is something that's constant because they are learning and exploring. So you'll have to continue that when your puppy's at home with you, and you have to be consistent. It's going to be something ongoing. And they may be really good at, say, not nipping at your hands, but maybe when you walk by, they grab your pants, or something like that. So they may change it up, and it may change from day to day, and just make sure you're consistent. So follow the same process. Don't get mad at them. They're just learning. They're big babies. So and a question that I am often asked is, will that if I do the physical touch, is that going to create resentment, or are they going to be mad at me? And the answer to that is no. Dogs live in the moment, and think about how they interact with one another. Dogs, all their corrections are with a physical touch, and they deal with it, and they give a correction, and they move on. They don't hang on to that, and they don't hold resentment. So, certainly if that were the case, none of my dogs would like me, because I'm pretty strict with, being respectful, and, I don't want them to be biting or jumping on anybody. So you can apply these same techniques to any negative behavior that you don't want. And my recommendation is to stop it if you don't like it. If they're doing something you don't like, you don't have to allow that to continue. So make sure that you decide ahead of time what are the boundaries that you're looking for. So I hope that helped, and don't forget to follow us and like the video. Come here. Ah.